So this is the unit circle that has all of the lines in here and all the points that you need to fill this out, but it doesn't have any values of sine, cosine, or theta. So this is something you should be able to fill out just from a scratch version like this. It's just, you have to memorize this stuff. That's the way it is for every Math 112 class. There's nothing we can do about it except make it simple on ourselves. So fill in this with radians for the angle measure and xy coordinates for each of the points. The reason to do that is x is the cosine of theta, y is the sine of theta. So if you can fill this in with the x and y coordinates, you can get the cosine and sine values for each of these angles, assuming, of course, you can fill in angles, which should be in radians. So you want to start filling it in. This here is pi over 6 is 30 degrees. This is pi over 4 is 45 degrees. And this is pi over 3 for 60 degrees. It says fill it in with radians, but go ahead and put the degrees too if you'd like to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is 0, so 0 radians or degrees is the same. This is pi over 2 radians or 90 degrees. And just go ahead and fill in the rest of it the same way. So we got all the radians filled in, so now we can do some of these pretty easily. For example, the xy coordinate of this point is 1, 0. Be careful not to mix those up. I see that fairly often. The x is 0, the y is 1. Here, the x is 0, the y is 1. Now start filling in these 45-degree reference angles. You know these are going to be easy because it's just root 2 over 2 for both the x and y coordinates. You just have to keep track of which one is positive and which ones are negative. Okay, well that was supposed to be a comma. Maybe I should be using a pencil, but that's all right. So now fill in. The other ones are going to have just the same two numbers in different orders. To keep track of which one it is, notice that the height here looks like a half. So you know the y coordinate is a half, which means the x coordinate is going to be root 3 over 2. The y coordinate is a half. So same thing for all the other angles that have the 30-degree reference angle. It's the same numbers, just keep track of which one is positive and which one is negative. Now, lastly, just take these same two numbers and flip them for the 60-degree reference angles and bring those around to all the other points that have the same reference angle. Just keep track of the positives and negatives. Now, just double check that this makes sense. You can memorize the decimal approximations if you want to. A half is 0.5. Does that look like an x or a y coordinate of negative a half? Yes, it sure does. Same thing here. This looks like an x coordinate of a half. Root 2 over 2 is approximately a little 0.71. So does that look like about 0.71? Sure. Root 3 over 2 is approximately 0.866. So somewhere between 0.8 and 0.9. Does that look right? It sure does. So that's pretty much all there is to it. Notice there's a nice little pattern here. Root 3, root 2, think about this as root 1, and then 0 here. Same thing here, it goes the other way. 1, 2, 3 in the square roots. And so if you can memorize quadrant 1, really you're all set. You just have to keep track of which x's and which y's are negative in the other quadrants.